So now we're really going to look at the Leckey range. So our Leckey range is our paediatric range, which we focus on 24-hour positioning. So we have a sleep system, we have standers, we have a variety of chairs, we have walkers as well. All right, so and a whole lot of different levels of support being provided. Our power seat is our simple classroom task-based chair, you know, wooden style, really great for your kiddos with a little bit of low tone or who might be sensory seeking slightly. Huge amount of ways to script that and make those changes. Okay, we don't have one here to show you, but you can see just by these turning knobs, we can change the height of the legs.
Next slide should show it.
Thanks, Rob. Here we go. All right, so we can change the back angle, we can change the height and the depth. So heaps of changes that you can do in the field. All right, lots of clinicians often have these in their therapy centres so that they can set up a chair for tabletop activities really quickly. All right.
I didn't know which one was first, that's why I thought. So squiggles. So starting off to that complex, so moderate to complex, giving that support where people actually need a little bit more, give that interactive part as well. So you've got, with the headrest, we'll start from the top and work our way down, probably the quickest way to do it for you. So you've got the hand wheels, so it's all about hand wheels, making it user friendly. You got to think these are not about 1 to 5. You can even go down to like 0 to 5, half a year old sort of. Once they've got that sitting balance or that little acquisition to start sitting, so it's just giving that support. You can have different headrests. You can have headrests with wings, so very similar to our adjuster plush, so you can actually set it in and actually stop that head rotation. Then you've got the wings on the top there. So with the wings on the top, you're going, as we said before, this is when these tools are actually useful because they are designed for this chair. So they are, so you've got that.
You don't have to pick up the wrong Allen key.
So you know that everything you touch on the Leckey chair is on the Leckey toolkit that comes with. So you've got that shoulder protraction. This is obviously to make the chair grow taller for those as they have those growth spurts, so you can actually get a bit more life out of the chair. So it's just, if not, you take this whole section off and then it becomes that even smaller sizes. You've got your lateral adjustments, so on the rear of the chair. Again,
these handles are just in the wrong position. Sorry guys, just trying to get you the best. Okay, so the lateral adjustment is here. Rob's just seeing if we can easily remove those handles for you so that you can see what we're doing.
so you can just see on the back. So you've got your lateral adjustments over the side, then you've got your backrest adjustment, so you can see on your handrail, and then you've got your back recline.
And you can do all of this with the little one in the chair too.
Yeah.
Okay, so really easy to set up and growable. You know, we suggest if you're working with kids, anytime they're in a new size of clothes, so, you know, mum said, oh, it's just gone out and bought all these clothes, or dad's making a comment that all the pants are, you know, too short or that sort of thing, then you really should be growing the chair or the stander, okay?
So, and that's probably the key point. Parents are the worst to tell us when they've grown, but so if you mention that whole point of saying, oh, they've just changed clothes size, that gives us a great indication. The nice thing we've got about these options, all the adjustments are actually underneath. So when anybody's in the chair, you don't have all the straps hanging everywhere. Just gives you that little bit of support. And it's reinforced with the adjustment, and then the Velcro goes on there to stop any migration. Hip guides. So you've got adjustment on here for your hip guides. The hip guides are part of the pelvic belt as well. So they're going to adjust as you go wider or narrower. That's going to give you that adjustment as well. So it's just going to be 5mm. It's going to give you that width. So you see that adjustment on either side, and that's just going to then adjust the belt and the actual hip width so you have full contact. Foot plate, you go down a little bit. So you got that adjustment there, so it's just giving you your plantar dorsa. And then you've got your foot sandal. It's going to give you
Kind of like this is your hanger, you know, on your wheelchairs we're thinking about 70° and that sort of thing. We can change that just by the different ankle huggers on here. And then we also have lower leg, which Robbie's showing you now. Simple Allen key.
She's going to give that all round adjustment.
So really, Rob's just taken a really teeny tiny chair, perhaps for a 1-year-old, and converted it for a 4 or 5-year-old. Okay.
Should have seat depth as well.
And there's seat depth here as well. Just under, Rob's just loosened an Allen key, okay, and then that seat can just pulls out. So that just looked a bit trickier because all the Velcro of the seating.
Held it in place, like. So it's just giving that massive amount of growth. You could then stick it right down, maybe.
So heaps and heaps of adjustment and growth. And I think paediatric is one place where we as clinicians need to feel quite good about widening those hip guides, increasing the depth, increasing the length, getting that height up, because kiddos grow so quickly. So if you've just got a little Allen key set in your therapy bag, you know, you can really grow that squiggle seat for them.
So the main difference on all the Leckey chairs, you've got a safety device. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on this one, but you've got a pin.
Hang on.
When we get to this pin,
Stop moving.
So if that pin is locked, you see that pin there. So when it's actually locked in place, that will stop the actual mechanism from moving. So it won't actually move at all.
So that's stopping the high-low, okay? And Rob's unlocked that pin, and now it can go all the way down to the ground. So really what that's doing is it's brother and sister proofing the high-low mechanism to make sure nobody gets fingers caught in it, or, you know, they're not going to release their brother and sister smack into a dining room table or something like that. So really nice.
And that's the same for the tilt as well. So pretty much any of the major adjustments that are gas strap version, that's going to give you that support on those ones.
Definitely.
Okay, next one. So everyday seat. So really the main difference when you move on to everyday, that little bit lower, so level 3s, where you're going to do that little bit of standing transfer. So you can literally flip up the foot plate, encourage them to literally go down to the floor, do assisted stand, and keeps them interactive with siblings as well, because you've got a medial thigh support that's going to get in the way, as you see on the MYGOs with the more complex. It's just giving that, we say it's a little bit lower postural needs, and with that we also then also have hand wheels. So everything's on hand wheel adjustment. So you can see you've got your backrest adjustments there. I'm going to give that on these hand wheels the same as the PAL, so it's giving that limitations. The same thing as hand wheels for the. Oh, sorry.
He's moving too quickly. I'm slowing him down, everyone.
Hand wheels on the thigh guides as well. So it's just going to give you that outer thigh, give the support, and the same.
This is a brand new chair, so all brand new products can be a little bit sticky, or as I call it, been put together with man strength, because often they'll use the preset pressure.
On me.
There we go. All right, so Rob's just increased the seat depth by about 6 inches.
Yeah, so
Okay.
just give me that bit more. So the actual seat depth you can see is coming from in the middle. It actually loses it from underneath the chair. So you actually taking it from what was behind. So real visual, you'll be able to see what was here to know what you can grow to. Lateral height is Allen keys, the same, very, very similar across the whole range. When you start getting to the laterals, the same laterals are pretty much on all the models. So you've got your 2 Allen keys, it's going to give you your height. Your Allen key.
I'll just zoom in so you can all see that.
It's going to give you your recline. It's just going to give you these bits of adjustment that you want. It's just going to enable you to get that position that you want when you've worked out what you need to achieve. So that moderate position, it's not going to give you, it's not going to, you can go as complex as you want to, or as stripped back as you don't want to. So it just gives that full range.
Yeah, I love this, the everyday chair for, you know, the kiddos that are still using a stroller with mum and dad when they're out, but really need more positioning at the dinner table, in preschool, in daycare, wherever they may be. It's a really nice chair where they can get all the way down to the ground with their friends. But equally, you know, we're not starting that discussion with mum and dad yet about a wheelchair and that sort of thing too.
100%.
Really nice to know how easy
this one,
it is.
again, with all these, you can have them in vinyl as well if need be. So it just gives that bit of, depends on how you're going to use it, depends on what's needed. Okay.
And then we move up to the MYGO, which is for your more complex kiddos, okay? So the kiddos who really need quite a bit of postural support. Right? And this one is, you're really limited by your imagination.
This is really the worst color ever. So with, for you to visually see is just, you get what they call the pelvic cradle on the MYGO. So it either works or it doesn't work. So it's about stabilizing the hips and getting as much support as possible. So it's just giving that bit more fix and giving that hug that they want to achieve. So it's just where they want to. And then you've got the straps down to hold them in position, so they're not going to slide out of the chair either.
I think the pelvic cradle's worth a try for those kiddos who have, you know, significant low tone, or who you're really, really struggling to get back, get their pelvis in a really nice position.
Yeah, so you can use the same belt as they were already using in the Squiggles, so that is available. So it's definitely worth trying to see if you can encourage them to get that different position. Depends on how they're held. It all comes down to how much stability they want. The more they want, the better they feel. Some children feel more restricted, so don't enjoy that as much. So. And then what you've got, so the main difference is, so very similar throughout the whole, but as you're going into more complex, you're going to get more growth. With more growth, you get more inquisitive parents as well. And so what we do is all more Allen key tools and everything rather than hand wheels. So you're going to give that whole more.
Rob's changing the height.
So I'm going to reduce that height down on the backrest just by those 2 adjustments. This has got the size 2, so it's got the shoulder protractors on. It's just going to give you that extra height before you even start. So you can use it with or without that option. It's just bolt on and bolt off if needed. And then you've got the additional height that you gain from there.
So really you're getting an extra 6 inches of height and growth out of this chair.
I'll just lift it up and then we can show you the laterals. So what these particular ones have got the complex laterals on. So they're really nice, almost biangular in that sense, so they give you that little bit more adjustment. So what you're getting is that wraparound environment. So you can literally give that wrapper a little bit more. Just do that so that you actually see them. So you can see that actual wrap. So the end of the lateral moves. So you can give that almost hug around the front, or you can change that body position. So you can really.
So you could really use this for the kiddo with severe, you know, kind of fixed scoliosis, with some trunk rotation and that sort of thing, that you really need to work around the ribs and that sort of thing. Those complex laterals work beautifully for that.
And then in addition, you've got your hip guides down here. These are hip guides at the moment. It depends if you're using the belt, because the belt would be fixed into this. These are the hip guides because we've got the pelvic cradle on. So it's giving that actual width adjustment there. Same headrest again as we were talking about. So the whole back of this chair is very similar to the other one, but we're just having the adjustments in slightly different places. So next to the hip guides itself, So what we've got on the hip guide, and then you've got your sacral pad.
So your sacral pad is where you can really start to block the PSIS. So you can change the angle and encourage more of a neutral pelvic position. You can add the rotation component too. So if your little kiddo has a rotation and you're wanting to block from the PSIS as your posterior force, the sacral pad here allows you to do that. Okay, you've also got really quick depth adjustment in that sacral pad too. All right, so think about, you know, if you were blocking.
You can see that rotation where it needs to be. And then moving from rotation, you've then got levers underneath. So they've got a button on the side of them. Show you that. And then with that, you've then got the length.
So you can manage abduction, wind sweeping, leg length discrepancies. Okay, you can also build up for obliquity under the pad. We can do some ramping and that sort of thing and create an ischial shelf. So really you can do so much to the MYGO system.
That just locks off. You can pretty much get fixation is wherever you want it to be.
Okay, you've got individual leg length as well.
They follow the rotation as well.
Yep, and because they're managed individually on each leg, if you have one knee that perhaps is contracted, you can really bring back that angle, whereas perhaps the other leg, if it's in more of a neutral position, you can encourage that kind of 90 or 85 degree lower leg angle as well.
So with Leckey, they've really thought of, look, so if anything comes loose, they've got a lock mechanism there. So it will always go down, but if it's cut loose over time, it would stop, and then it's not going to fall off anyway. So and then you lock it to where you want it to be.
Really great chair for your complex kiddos, and really easy for you to manage, you know, surgical needs, Botox programs, different positioning needs in the communities. Nice and simple.
So this is all with that Leckey T-bar. So we're talking tools, we're talking the toolkit. So on this toolkit, you get 2, 2.5, 3, 4, 5, and 6 mil, and a screwdriver end, a Phillips and a flat. That's all we're working off. This, all these adjustments we're doing. It's a really simple yet effective adjustments and really easy to go to.
All right, so now we're on standers. And you know, it's really important that we think about standing. 24-hour positioning is really important for all of our clients, but I think even more so with kiddos. The really great thing about the Squiggles Plus is it's designed for kiddos to be at the same height of their peers. So the idea of this is to set the foot plates as low to the ground as possible so they're standing at the same height as their peers. So they can play games, they can interact.
So at the moment, this is in its lowest. What we've got here, this is angle balancing here. So then we can then set the higher as they grow.
So there's a main spine that you manage the overall height, and then you adjust the leg length accordingly. So very similar to the MYGO seat. Okay, you can't pull these all the way off. They will stop that happening. So we can manage leg length discrepancy and setup here. And what's really great, you know, hip health development for little kiddos, looking at that adducted standing. All right, so really simple change there to get that angle. All right, and it's...
Sorry, I'm moving the camera.
Rob's trying to be helpful. It's just all lever, done by lever at the back, and all the angles are set on there. So if you're using this stander, if you're setting different angles for therapy versus, I guess, functional tasks and social engagements, you can pick that angle, and carers and mum and dad can change that really easily. This stander is currently set as a prone stander, and we can make it a supine stander as well. It comes all the way back into a horizontal position, okay, to make transfers really easy. All right, you can slide your kiddo in. Again, all of the adjustments are behind those pads out of the way.
We're talking the same pad and darling. So you can adjust that, make it tighter, just nice and out of the way. Get in on there. And then the only thing different, if you're setting it into the prone, all you're doing is taking the headrest off, and then you're rotating the actual foot sandals. So really simple. We can do it as quick as we need to. Then you loosen it.
And that's just another hand wheel, right? Just fix the sandals.
Yep. And then this is the reason this is made so easy is it's designed so that parents can change it at home and not feel that if it's too hard, they're not going to do it. So it's about having that interaction, giving that support. And then you can pop the tray in from the other side. I've made it look really awkward now, which is fine. So because we've just done it on the spur, what you need to do is drop the headrest as well. Put the actual push handle out the way and change the tray position just to allow the tray to get in. So giving you that prone standing. So really, I can't stress how simple, not simple, but how easy adjustability is on the Leckey products. It's one of those ones that just gives you that all-round little bit more support. It's going to give you that all-round range that what you need is, what you're getting is literally easy for the parents, because at this stage, if the parents find it hard, they're not going to use it. And that's the real take home. It doesn't matter if it's not Leckey, whatever product it is, make sure it's easy for the parents to use, because if the parents can't use it easily, they're 9 times out of 10 they're not going to use it. Same for wheelchairs. As we've talked about the manuals and the power, there's certain functions that don't work, then they're just not going to use it. So
yeah, and you're just going to turn up for your visit, and that piece of equipment that you've spent, you know, hours and hours getting on board is going to be sitting on the balcony.
It's a clothes area or something like that. Yeah.
Yes, being used to dry clothes on. Okay. Then just like in the seating series, we go up to the MYGO stander. Okay, so you got to think as kiddos are getting larger, they typically present with more complex postures and that sort of thing. They're heavier. So Leckey are building all of those considerations into the stander as the little one grows.
So we just got, if you notice the trend, every single headrest is the same. The adjustments are just go or stop. It's literally then removable. One thing we haven't mentioned is we've talked about Whitmire earlier on, but Whitmire will also fit on every single Leckey headrest as well. So if you've got the mount already on there, you could put a Whitmire be that a little bit more supportive on the headrest, on the actual stander itself or on the seating system. Then you've got your lateral positioning. So you're getting this, they're getting the trend. It's basically the same handwheels, they're the same style. So if it's got a handwheel, it will adjust. Got the Allen keys there as well. This is where you're going to take this off for prone if you're going to do prone standing, or we're leaving it on with the shoulder protection, same as a squiggle, same as a MYGO. So we're keeping the consistencies there as well. Probably the main difference going on to the larger sizes is the derotation belt. So what we're talking about, derotation belt, is the belt goes on to the client first, and then you're able to rotate that pelvis in different positions depending on where they are. And be able to give that bit more support.
Everything's got the double safety. So you've got the Velcro and then you've got the clasp as well.
And then your knee supports, so your nice padded knees to give them the support either under the knee, over the knee, depending on what environment, what solution they're going for. And then height adjustment.
So 2 spin wheels at the bottom for height. And then Rob's grown that at least a foot, probably 2.
Yeah, you gain this whole section here. You're gaining in height, and then you're gaining in the actual height here as well, chest height. So you're giving that whole. Then you've got the flex on the knees, so it depends on if they're, when they're standing, if they've got that little bit of flex, so you're looking at that angle, or you're into accommodation stomachs and things like that as well. So it's just different shapes. It's going to allow for that little bit more.
And you can take them out and spin them round so that you can put the knees at different positions as well. They don't have to be together.
So if you're looking at, so you can change the angle on there, and then individually you can change the knees. And then you've also got rotation of the knees as well. So you can set one high, one low. So you've got that little bit. So I'll show it from the front now just so you can see one's totally high. Purely by spinning that round, you're then keeping that level. Just giving you the different ideas. What nothing's not possible. There's always something. There's always a chance something you can change it and try something different.
Yeah. So if you're 80% happy with their position, work out what you're not happy with, and then identify the turn knobs that you need.
Yeah.
Okay, because you can probably do it. And Leckey's so great. It's so difficult to get wrong. Okay, worst thing you're going to do
is a screw's going to fall out.
Screws or a washer's going to fall out.
But it's normally got a safety device that if it does fall out, it's not, everything's not going to fall apart. So
right.
If it does, it's going to be fairly straightforward to be put back together.
This one goes all the way into horizontal as well.
So what you've got,
unlike
see the handle. So you're going all the way.
And you've got that safety safety pin as well. Okay. Oh, sorry guys.
Just give you that little bit.
So it really makes transfers nice and easy. You could do a sliding transfer too.
Only one thing I didn't mention, like apologize, will flick back quickly, just for the everyday seat, because you're going to be multiple carers and environments that we're looking for. So the main difference, is if you look at the front of the casters at the front, you see they've got the grey tabs on them. Well, these are called directional wheels. So if you click them, you put them on, then they're going to click. That's click forward. And that was click forward. So they're not breaks. So you only get 2 breaks. So what they're doing is, so going down corridors, it's actually going to walk a lot neater. Keep it so it's a lot easier to propel. So you've got the carers walking down corridors or parents at home having that a little bit easier, as opposed to if you go, depends how you're pushing them. So then you've got 4-wheel turning. So it all depends on the environment. You just turn them off, turn them on. The 2 brakes at the rear do hold it really steady as well. Any more questions? Even going back to the manuals, the power, the seats, whatever's, if you thought about anything afterwards, then obviously fire away. Let's see what you've got, see if we can help. And again, if we can't, if we don't, I've been doing this 17 years now, I think, and Tilly's been doing it a fair few years now as well.
A decade.
And every day we're learning. So we're not saying we're going to learn, we know we just try and be as strong as we can, and we learn from each other. So any questions you can fire is always a bonus, just to help. Obviously all quiet.
All quiet. So guys, I think in summary today, I hope we've encouraged you to just stop, take seating off, have a look at the chair or the backrest or the Leckey product or whatever, and say, I want to change the back angle, or I want to change the lower leg angle, and just stop and think, okay, here are the moving parts. Where do I think I need to do it? And you know what? If you've identified it and you're more confident than not, I'd really encourage you to take your Allen key, change that lower leg angle.
Yeah.
Okay. Change that back angle on your J back. You know, at least take the wheel off the manual wheelchair and take a photo of the axle plate and go, you know what? I think I'm pretty confident I could move this forward. You know, start with identifying the parts and ask yourself the question, could I move this? How confident am I? Just start to take things apart without the client in. Just look at it and think, okay, if I was to change the center of gravity, where do I need to look?
Yeah, take photos is the key thing. Take photos before you adjust it, take photos afterwards, and just compare, because it's one of the things you think, oh yeah, that looks right, and then you've got, like building IKEA furniture, you start off with what you think you've done the right job, then all the tools left at the end of it, you're like, that just something doesn't look right. So you've got that photo at the beginning, it just helps. Obviously, it is a big fear doing things for clients when they're already in the chair and that's their only mode of getting out and about and being interactive. So obviously we know precaution, but it's more, if I can, one take home from it all is to understand things are missing or things aren't quite right. And then you can always get the dealer involved, or ourselves. We can always, if you're struggling, you're not sure who to get involved, then always drop us a line.
We'll connect you.
And then we'll connect you with a dealer in your area. So, and we can give that support.
Okay, so we hope you've got something out of today. Reach out if you want a practical session, reach out if you've got any follow-up questions, or specifically, you know, you want to send us through a photo of something and saying, hey, you know, this is where I'm at. You know, I'm fairly confident that if I move this here, happy to kind of walk you through that either virtually or over photos.
Yes, and if you think there's a need for it in your area, that you want this sort of training to actually be not virtually but physically there, we've got people in the areas we can assist and come along with dealers and do dealer support with them and get involved.
Any questions on the line there, Tom? All right, team. We might leave it here. Thanks for joining us this afternoon, and we'll see you again. Have a great afternoon.
Cheers.